in effect. Where this is Terrence, Vietnam Crypto Insights. My team is all busy, crypto projects, crypto promoting, developing, you name it. So it's me, the lone wolf today, and coming to you on a kind of dismal day as far as not only the rain here in Vietnam, but also the crypto market, which has seen a huge plunge. But you know, for those of us that's been around for a while, it's nothing. It's kind of like this this graphic kind of explains. Been around in crypto for a while, you already know it's going to be about 30-40% dips right after the halving, or soon to be, not all the time. But I think this video kind of highlights the highlights the mood, and not only the mood, but the attitude most long-term crypto investors have. You know, when it comes to crypto, if you've been around for a while, you've noticed that there's days like this. There's many days like this, and just gotta learn to deal with it. But at any rate, we're looking at right now, from what I could tell, I think we're about down about 5% for the day for the market, for the Bitcoin price. Actually, we're kind of bounced back up a little bit. Looks like down about almost 6%, but I think we're about right now we're close to only about 4% as far as the Bitcoin price. Yeah, a lot of the big cryptos are down today, and yeah, we're looking at about 4%, a little bit bounce back, of course. 4% for Bitcoin, 4% for Ethereum, down. A lot of red across the board, man. A lot of red, man. It's just a down day. And a lot of this actually came from the Mt. Gox news. Mt. Gox is finally, after 7 years, and I guess they're supposed to be distributing some of the Bitcoin that was lost in a hack several years ago. And they've been talking about this for over a year or two already. I think they're finally going to distribute some of the Bitcoin. I think the fear is a lot of this Bitcoin is going to hit the market, be sold, so people can make cash out with a profit. You know, I've been waiting on their money or the crypto for a long time. But not only that, Germany have sold a lot of Bitcoin, or they're actually getting ready to sell out of their Bitcoin they're holding. The U.S., of course, they're one of the biggest holders of Bitcoin of any governments. I mean, they've got billions, but they're supposed to be, I think they've put a lot of Bitcoin on the exchanges, which is actually a sign that they're going to sell. A lot of this Bitcoin that they had was from the Silk Road debacle. The Silk Road was a platform where people could actually buy and sell stuff and use crypto, which it got shut down. The guy that actually started that got thrown in the federal pen. So that's going on the market. But not only that, Bitcoin miners have been selling a lot. You know, they've been taking profits because they've got to keep their operations running. They got to pay their electricity. If they're not getting free electricity, you know, some of the even the big ones, they still have to pay 2 or 3 cents per kilowatt. You know, which is actually cheap. A lot of them have those kind of deals. A lot of the big Bitcoin miners do anyway. So upgrades, you name it, everybody's got to pay. But you know, one of the other things that they're doing, one of the other reasons that you see a lot of selling right now and a lot of movement, is that they have some of the whales are even selling. They have what's called the carry trade, and one of the big analysts actually was setting that for about the carry trade and what they do a couple weeks ago. So what a lot of these big companies do, a lot of these big institutional players, even though they're holding a lot of Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatnot, one of the things that they do is they'll also do what's called a carry trade. Well, they'll actually borrow some more and they'll bet against the asset, or bet that it's actually going to go down a little bit. Well, of course, they're holding a bunch, and actually they have the wherewithal to move the market. So if they dump with only about 11% of the Bitcoin on exchanges right now, that actually can cause a dip. So they're making money both ways. It's a whale game. It's a whale game. But one of the things that they can't do, they can't control the long-term prospects of this market, and that's the one thing that they can't do, because they know that people are coming, other institutions are coming. They're not going to be able to stop. They're not going to be able to stop the ongoing demand and the adoption of the general market as it pertains. Matter of fact, there's set to be probably this week or next. A lot of analysts are saying that the spot ETF for Ethereums, those are going to actually be approved this week. And one of the experts with Gemini, who's one of the big players in the U.S., they're projecting the next 6 months there's going to be over $5 billion in inflows, and that's just for Ethereum. And that actually is just projected in the first 6 months alone into Ethereum. So that's going to cause a price increase, of course, but there's other analysts that's also projecting over the next 18 months that there's going to be a total of $15 billion in inflows to Ethereum ETFs. So we're looking at a big upswing, certainly sometime soon. Don't know when. I do know that we're going to see a price shoot up. It can only be down so much, with the supplies of Ethereum dwindling. I think we're still at about 10% Ethereum, which is actually some of the lowest. These are some of the lowest levels in about 7 years that we see on the exchanges right now. And what that happens with supply demand. Going to see a price shock. Other news, we've actually got globally, we've got Circle, who's actually became compliant, with the EU's regulatory framework, which they've actually came into existence. Actually, if they had all the stable coins, one of the deadlines they wanted to for stablecoin holders to actually be compliant was the end of June. So Circle, their stablecoin is actually being held to be in conformity with the regulations in the EU. So they're actually going to be one of the major players over there. That's legit right now. Of course, they have some other framework, whereas if you're not targeting that market, then you're not under that umbrella. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting legal loophole there. But yeah, there's I think Germany and I think Liechtenstein is one of the other countries that have their own framework. But I think that eventually, I think the MiCA, markets and crypto assets regulatory framework, I think that is actually supposed to overtake everything that's in the EU by the end of the year. But we've got the stablecoin deadline was, everything had to be in compliance with stablecoin holders or stablecoin brokers or exchanges by June 30th. I think the other deadline for the rest of the market is the end of the year. So that's some news. In the U.S., what's actually been happening here is that the IRS, they're coming. They've released their initial rules on taxes and reporting. They released that couple years ago. But they've actually got a final rule, which actually came into existence or into fruition here this past couple of days. And this is going to be big because not only are they holding brokers or exchanges to certain standards, but they're also any investor, any crypto investor, they're going to be doing this by wallet. So every wallet that you have, it's got to have some sort of, got to sign some original price purchase basis for your wallet. And, you got to actually have some accounting in there and show what you've made profit for the year. And if you don't do that, what they're going to do is they're going to actually be coming after you anyway. They're going to assign the wallet, the basis to zero, and they're going to actually say that they're going to tell you what you owe. Trust me, it's not a fun experience. I've actually been through that. They sent me a bill, and I'm like, okay, where do you guys get these numbers at? But, then they try to make it on you to prove otherwise. So it's kind of a crazy game, This is exactly. So if you subject to the U.S. laws, beware. They're coming. They can't decide whether it's a lot of these cryptos are securities or commodities, but Uncle Sam's still going to tax you. Don't matter. So at any rate, some of the other bullish news, we've got a big case that actually was decided. Wasn't even a crypto case, but it was actually something that could impact the crypto market. And that case was a Supreme Court case here this past week, Loper Bright Enterprises versus Raymond. It's a Supreme Court case that came down. But what they've basically done is they went and re-examined the judge-made law of giving executive branches deference whenever they make some sort of interpretation of a law that was vague. They've given the agency some sort of deference whenever they came up with some rule or some interpretation, and then they enforced it against someone, some entity or person. Whenever it was brought to court, they just automatically gave them some sort of deference, and they forced the people that were subject to this to have to show that it was arbitrary and capricious. So that statutory ambiguity was something that was actually it was something that the people that were subject to these interpretations were kind of hard pressed to actually prove otherwise. This actually can play out a number of ways in favor of the crypto market, because there's a number of entities, not only Ripple, but Consensus. There's also been a lawsuit against Richard Hart and Hex, Kraken. I mean, you name it. Several entities that are still subject to lawsuits, including Coinbase. They've had enforcement actions, and they've been come after by the SEC in these actions, which are still live. And they basically interpreted these cryptocurrencies as all securities in all these cases. And they basically said that these companies have been violating the broker-dealer rules. And so it's going to be a easier burden or less of a hassle for these crypto companies to say, okay, well, this SEC's explanation or interpretation is not entitled to any deference anymore. So, let's see. We want the judge to come in and just rule what they feel is a security or a commodity, because there's still a lot of things up in there. Even though SEC has dropped all of its actions against Ethereum, and there's been a couple other actions that have been dropped. One of the big enforcement guys that's been coming after a lot of crypto guys, he actually retired from the SEC as well. I don't know if Gary Gensler is going to be out pretty soon, maybe, but there's still some sort of wiggle room that the SEC had up until this latest action. So this is actually bodes well, and is actually bullish for the crypto market as a whole. And hopefully we'll see a lot more favorable rulings coming down from these courts here pretty soon on the crypto exchanges and on the crypto holding issues. But some other bullish news. We've got some with the SEC, with the ETFs coming back up, we're going to be getting this influx of capital inside the crypto spectrum once again. But with that being said, we're going to be seeing, according to many analysts, we're going to be seeing an uptick in a lot of the altcoins. So, be prepared. We're going to be seeing not only in the upswing in Ethereum, but there's a number of analysts that have actually projected that the altcoins are going to soar at least 40% over this next couple months here, and that should be pretty huge. So if you're looking at some degen stuff, some stuff that's going to soar 40%, a lot of altcoins. And with that, there's Bitcoin is probably going to see a little bit of a gain, but Solana is one of them. You might see some upswings between, according to some analysts, of 20 to 40%. And coins like Rune, Cardano. Of course, Cardano hasn't been looked upon favorably lately, nor has Polkadot, but they're still being projected to be in bullish over the next week. So be looking at that. There's also some actually some positive news on some other altcoins. One of the big ones is actually pretty big last cycle was SHIB. SHIB was actually one of the ones that's actually being looked at as being good to hold for the next, at least short-term basis, because SHIB has been getting pummeled as well the past several months. It had a little bit of a bounce, but this past month or so, it's actually been really getting hammered, and we're seeing analysts say that SHIB is actually one of the analysts or influencer, I should say, blockchain BB. He's projecting that SHIB is probably going to be the best altcoin to hold here, while Bitcoin is projected to go back up to 75K. Well, it hasn't been 75K yet, but they're projecting it to go to 75K. So a lot of bullish stuff. One of the probably some of the other exciting news is that Solana, there's been a couple of the same entities that have been filing for the ETFs for Bitcoin and for Ethereum. They are going to be doing a Solana ETF. Trying to file for, I don't know if it's going to take 2 years like the other ones. So we shall see. I think it might speed up the process, since there's already been a kind of a precedent set with the Bitcoin and Ethereum. Might speed up the process. We don't know. I think that we're going to be seeing some interesting legal stuff play out. There's already been some interesting legal stuff playing out here this entire year, but as this whole legal landscape comes up, starts to actually settle, things might just take a turn, you know, in a rapid fashion. You never know. This crypto market is like that. Like it whips down 1 minute, it whips up dramatically the other direction. And since we're in the middle of a bull cycle, and we're already down dramatically from the high here the past month or two, it can only go one way if it goes down too much. But yeah, with that being said, some of the big news, one of the big news pieces of news that came out this week also is that Sony, the big entertainment giant, juggernaut, $105 billion company, they're going to be entering the crypto sphere. They're actually in the process of, I think they acquired another crypto exchange in Japan, which is interesting because Japan has not really been that favorable on crypto, but as we've seen in the US, some of the big companies, they have a little bit more sway than the average person, so they can actually come in and use their political pull and muscle and get things moved. But I think that they've, given the fact that they're a big company and they've invested some money into this situation, I'm sure that they already know the legal landscape of what they're up against. But yeah, they're actually they've acquired the exchange S blocks, and they're going to upgrade it. Something else that they're going to do, Sony is going to be doing they're actually going to be doing a blockchain as well. So that's actually going to be pretty huge. So big developments in the space, big companies coming on board, more institutions putting more capital into the space, and it's all bullish. So even though we're in a downtrend and short term, it's just going to. This is actually the best time if you haven't gotten involved in crypto. It's actually, again, this is no financial advice. It's actually a pretty good time to get in. President of Ripple announced this past week that they're going to do a stable coin sometime later this year. Hopefully they can settle this other lawsuit first with the government and overcome their difficulties. That's been a pretty momentous, pretty big battle going on for years. But we shall see. I think that if precedent serves correctly, they'll probably end up having to spend $1 billion or $2 billion, just like Binance or whatever. I think it was FTX, some of the other companies that, as well as BitMEX, they might have to come out $1 billion or $2 billion to get over this, unless they, for some reason, are able to convince the judge otherwise. But yeah, with that being said, we are pretty much going to wrap this up. We've got a number of guests that we're going to be presenting next week. I got some guys that are going to be doing a project here. Some of the guys are based in Vietnam, and we're going to be doing some interviews next week. A couple of different groups, and bringing that to you, and hopefully give you some more exciting news. We've got a lot of things coming down the pipe with crypto, especially with the ETFs coming out for Ethereum, spot ETFs coming out any day. So take this negative market, take it in stride, because it's going to turn around soon. But with that, keep it coffee and crypto. And this is Terrence, and I'm out.